Hello. Happy Halloween, everybody. It's me, Ed Carbajal. You can follow me. You can follow me on Twitter at Carbazel. This is MMA News Sunday submission for a spooky Halloween. Sorry, I'm pre-recording this. If you haven't noticed, the lighting is different. I'm wearing my Halloween shirt. Um, so happy Halloween. If you like the stuff we do here at MMAnews.com, make sure you click the bell notification, thumbs up, like, and subscribe to the channel. We actually had interviews with we have an interview on the YouTube channel with Sean Brady and one of last night's competitors from UFC 267, Volkan Ozdemir, by the Canadian God, James Lynch. So yeah, if you haven't checked that out, make sure you do. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you get all that good stuff from us. Go to MMAnews.com if you want the full results from the UFC 267 event that happened, as well as some Professional Fighters League, because we had that midweek. So we're going to talk about that too. And I normally stream this live on Sunday morning after events on my Twitter. So if you want to see everything I do normally, you can follow me on Twitter at Carbazel. But I'm not doing that today. Today it is actually October 30th, Halloween Eve, Mischief Night for anyone that celebrates the season as I do. This is why I got my shirt on. Early UFC card, UFC 267. And the day ain't over for me because even though it's Halloween, I got to go do live results for another outlet in about 3 hours from now. So I'm recording this now because on Halloween, I like to partake in the Halloween festivities, help out my folks, deal with trick-or-treaters. We'll do a lot of running around. So I'm not normally going to be able to do Sunday submissions. So that's why I'm pre-recording it. And I don't want to leave anybody hanging like I did couple of weeks ago when I had to handle some other life event stuff. So pre-recording this, get that out of the way just so you guys know that's why it's dark. And I got the orange light behind me here to represent the jack-o'-lantern of Halloween. What's your favorite scary movie? Drop it in the comments. Let's get into it. Before we get into the UFC 267 7 takeaways piece that I just published, I'm recording this at 7 p.m. Saturday night. The post-fight press conference just finished, so there's a lot of. It's fun. You know what's crazy is Dana White is looks like he's gonna be here back on the East Coast next week for UFC 268. I think I have Islam Makhachev is on here, right? Yeah. So one of the takeaways, we'll get into the lightweight picture because of there's two lightweights on UFC 268 card coming up that I'm pretty sure there's some chitter chatter oddly enough between Justin Gaethje on Twitter and Daniel Cormier, who was calling the fights at this event. It's crazy that they're going to Abu Dhabi, and Dana White even said in the post-fight press conference he looks like he's going to have to be back there in a couple of weeks. So it makes me wonder why. I know he said he couldn't really disclose why, but I'm sure we'll find out. And MMA News will have you covered as far as that is concerned. But before we even get into the UFC 267 aftermath, Professional Fighters League just finished their 2021 season. And it's always funny to me that folks start talking about the winners, the champions of the season. Oh, now what are we going to do? See them in the UFC? You're probably not going to see them in the UFC because the UFC doesn't want to pay them what they just made at fighting a season in the PFL. Now I know the PFL didn't really do much for 2020 because of COVID. They pretty much sat out the whole season, and in that time, it looked like they were doing investment rounds and funding. It looks like their time at ESPN might be done. If I have a criticism about ESPN and the Professional Fighters League, it is the pacing of their events. It's been hard to watch. I actually timed the fight, Clarissa Shields fight, and I forget the fight before that. Capoloza, the guy that won the light heavyweight title, right? Was it light heavyweight? Because Shoeface won the middleweight, 185 one, or heavyweight. I'm sorry, Shoeface won the light heavyweight. Capizzola won the heavyweight. Anyway, but the time between those two fights was almost 30 minutes. It was commercials and filler and stuff we didn't need on a Wednesday night. So I'm just gonna drop my own. I have no evidence to this. I'm just looking at. This is me looking at the spectrum of the sport. I'm not right about these types of things. I mean, when it comes to technical stuff and the fights and stuff like that, I'm better at that. 57.7% accurate according to SureDog's stats. I don't know what my Tapology stuff is, but um, my guess is uh, if the PFL winds up on a new, because for those of you that don't know, and you folks that follow MMAnews.com probably don't know, the PFL used to be World Series of Fighting. World Series of Fighting used to be on NBC Sports Network. By the end of this year, I believe, unless it happened already, NBC Sports network is done. All their big sports are going to either move over to USA Network. I forget what the press release said. So they they uh they rebranded to from WSOF to PFL, and they were still with the network, and then they moved over to before this thing happened with NBC Sports, they did this thing with ESPN, and they lost the year because of COVID that they didn't do anything. But it looks like they did funding rounds and they picked up more money. So they signed a lot of people. They signed more people for next season already, 2022. I'm used to the seasons beginning around late April, early May, and then ending on, when the year ends. But they did it earlier this year because they missed a year. So I don't blame them for that. They started sooner, then ended sooner this week in October in Miami. So, I mean, I missed out completely. But the first PFL season PFL championships that I miss, COVID really, took a hit on everybody. But anyway, because I'm usually, on the floor covering the event live. Of me and Fernando Quillis, who also contributes here at MMAnews.com, or used to. We covered the event together one evening or one year, the 2019 year, I believe it was. Anyway, you can check that stuff's up on MMAnews.com. But when that happens, everybody seems to. That's my only criticism of the PFL. So I hope when they get to their new network, the pacing changes, and the prediction I'm trying to make is I have a feeling, I have no real evidence other than, I know they're shopping stuff around. I have a feeling if they if they leave ESPN and go to a new network, they're going to wind up maybe on TNT or TBS, wherever AEW because the AEW Dynamite is moving to TBS next year. And they did stuff with One Championship in April, and the whole thing with Bleacher Report. It's just like a weird, like they're trying to get into MMA over there on that network, but it's like it's like soft, and they're testing the waters with these things they did with One Championship. The thing with One being in Singapore, that it's not a homegrown product, and being North American USA. So the timing is off. Not a lot of people want to stay up, as late as they did for the PFL Championship. And if you're gonna do something with Bleacher Report, like streaming the prelims like you did with One, and then having the main card for a set block of time, you can do that live with not some pre-recorded stuff if you have a homegrown product like the PFL. So I wouldn't be surprised if it winds up on TBS or TNT in 2022 for the new season. They're definitely going to have a new season, though. I like the format, and to the point about having Ray Cooper and Kayla Harrison and all these people. First of all, I really wish, and I'm probably going to get shit from other MMA media members, anyone that watches this. I really wish people would stop asking Kayla Harrison about fighting Amanda Nunes. They train together. They're not going to fight each other. And the seniority in the sport belongs to Nunes, and she's in the. So unless Kayla Harrison gets enough fights under her belt to go to the UFC, which we already know is not going to happen, because Dana White kind of trashed Kayla Harrison the week of her event this week. It's not going to happen. So like, why do you keep bringing it up? I mean, it's like I swear, it's like some of them don't even know that they train together. It's very annoying, and I'm sure it annoys Harrison too. But anyway, um, and the other thing is, so now she's made $2 million fighting for the PFL. And say what you will because about her fighting at 155, we know she can make featherweight. She's a competitor, lifelong competitor. So she made featherweight when she went to Invicta because she insisted that she needed to fight while the PFL wanted to sit out, and they extended that to her because they didn't want to lose her because that she's their biggest name. But their other champions just picked up $1 million. Shoeface, Antonio Carlos Jr. UFC let him go. He was in this PFL season, won $1 million. Okay, you think they're? I mean, I think they did get one PFL competitor like to fill in with the logistics and everything messed up because of COVID. So it's not like they won't. I mean, but that was because we were at the height of COVID where things were, money needed to be made or whatever. But I mean, as we're learning the new normal or whatever you want to call it, I don't think it's going to be so easy. You're not going to see Ray Cooper. Ray Cooper's adamant that he's not leaving the PFL. I mean, he called for a belt unification, but he meant bring your champions here or let me fight your champions and let for the respective titles. Like if he's obviously willing to, he's got two titles, 2019, 2021 PFL 170-pound championship titles that he's willing to put on the line against any welterweights out there. So like Lance Palmer, you're not going to see Lance Palmer. Lance Palmer won the first two seasons and then competed this season. So the $1 million plus the salaries they made for the fights that they did during the season format and the playoffs and all that. So like the game has changed. The landscape of the sport is different. UFC is still the bar. I'm not trying to knock the UFC and make it like I hate the UFC, even though when I get into this ESPN Plus shit, I'm gonna make it sound like that. But you know, just watch other stuff. I mean, the perfect example, Hamza Mayev. Everyone acts like he just came out of nowhere. He was fighting over there in his portion of the world. I forget the promotion, but it was a regional promotion over there that you'd have to like watch on YouTube or somewhere online. But that's where he cut his teeth. So if you're gonna you know start trying to bring fighters over, remember that there's a lot of options out there. The sport has grown so much that the UFC is not the only game in town, and we've seen that with I mean it seems there's regional promotions popping up almost. There's ones that have gotten started like 2 years ago. Even if it's super local, like in Pittsburgh or something. So that's where I'm going to leave that with the PFL. So your chances are you're not going to see Ray Cooper, Kayla Harrison in the PFL in the UFC anytime soon because, I mean, unless they're going to throw some real money at them, you got $1 million to compete with. So, like, fucking, do some homework. People asking those questions aggravate me. Anyway, let's get into UFC 267. So, UFC 267 literally just finished like an hour or so ago. Bring up the 7 takeaways piece here. This is the 7 takeaway from UFC 267. I like to use it as my footnotes to talk about what happened. I mean, obviously it was their return to Fight Island. They went back to Abu Dhabi. Again, I just talked about how I can't believe that I mean, I don't know how many people are employed or for what they're contracting to set up shop there. I know it's like set up there, like that part of. If you read the New York Times article, like one of the people that are part owners of the UFC owns that property there, and kind of has that set up exclusively to hold UFC events. So it's probably not too hard to break down. They probably just leave the stuff up there and then set up new stuff as they're coming into Madison Square Garden for next weekend, UFC 268. But I mean, they're there, and the way when Dana White mentions COVID and what they've had to do for events, it looked like he said, I'm quoting him, he's like, it looks like I'm gonna have to be back here meaning Abu Dhabi, in the next couple of weeks. And it looks like because of the vaccine mandate that the government put down as far as folks coming into the country and having to show proof of vaccine, it's probably going to make it hard. I mean, there's probably people that can't get it, fighters, depending on where they're coming from, they can't get it. Never mind the people that don't want to get it. So I think that's what they're going to need to use Fight Island for. So yeah, they went back there for the UFC 267. They're back in New York for 268. And then after that, I don't know if everything's TBD. I haven't seen. I know they're trying to go to states that'll have them, but it's a weird time. It might change after next Tuesday. I wonder what next Tuesday is. But we'll see. So the other thing that I took away from this event, this is me. I know I've ranted about this before. It's UFC 267, and Paul Felder and everybody was on social media and Dana White saying, "Oh yeah, this is a free pay-per-view." No, it's not, because you had to watch it. You had to have ESPN Plus. Now, is ESPN Plus free? No, it is not. You have to pay a fee every month to watch ESPN Plus. So while you may not have paid your $80, $90 pay-per-view price, you paid your monthly fee to watch it. So to me, free means I go in the living room, turn on ESPN, and there it is. The event's on, UFC 267 or whatever. So it just bothered me that so many people kept calling it a free pay-per-view, and it's really not free. I actually had a discussion with one of my training partners early in the morning, because I trained earlier in the morning so I can try to catch everything and still get my workout in, so I'm not such a fat ace. And they were like, "Oh, it's free," and I was like, "No, it's not. It's on ESPN Plus." And I was like, "How much do you pay for that?" And he was like, "Well, I have the bundle. It's 13 whatever a month." I said, "Then that's what you're paying for it. So it's not free." And the other reason I wrote this was because I think the real reason they did that is because they know they're not going to be able to if you want to do pay-per-view buys every event, you can't try to do them this close together. So they had to give this up. It was either this. I bet you this was probably supposed to be on ABC or something, but because of the fighters and doing it in Abu Dhabi, and like, this would have been a good ABC thing. You know what I mean? That's free because everybody has ABC. So anyway, I'll get off that soapbox and move on to the next um, referee, whatever his name is here, Kiselev. So I'm sure everybody noticed this freaking jerk off. The fight with Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos and Benoit Saint Denis. I mean, he picked up a win that went to a decision that probably should have been stopped. Never mind the damage that was dealt or whatever. There was also an eye poke, and where Saint Denis says, "I can't see throughout out of my eye," and doesn't even call in a doctor. If it was Herb Dean, Herzog, anybody else, they would have called in a doctor and said, and if he said that, then it would have been stopped. But this guy who has a reputation, if you follow a Kapoza at Grabaka _hitman on Twitter, which if you've been following the sport for a while, you probably are following him. He started putting stuff out, right? Like, this guy's got a reputation. And the thing I wrote here, I mean, we literally just had a fighter die in bare knuckle. A few weeks before that, a young lady died at a boxing event. So the good thing about the UFC being the entity that it is as an entertainment, whatever, in combat sports, is that they're aware of these things, and they actually, since there's I guess they're self-regulating over there too, they pulled this guy from officiating anymore in the night. They probably just needed a ref, and they saw he was a ref and licensed or experienced or whatever, because of the language barriers. There's a lot of fighters that are speaking different languages. That's why it's for their international rosters. Part of the reason they go to Fight Island. Yaz Island over there in Abu Dhabi. So, but this guy was so bad. I mean, if anyone needed, I mean, if they just brought him on because of his experience, they found out his reputation after the fact, and shout out to the UFC for pulling this jerk off, because they said it during the broadcast that he was done officiating. He was actually supposed to officiate the Uzdemir, the fight with Uzdemir. I just pulled down the card, but he was supposed to Ankalev and Uzdemir, and that didn't happen. Thank God that didn't happen. I think Mark Goddard was stepped in place for him, and thank God they have a few refs, because sometimes it looks like some events only have two referees, and then the night gets harder, because I mean it's a physical job. I mean, look at how long the events are, and they're running around in the ring with those guys too. They might not be getting the punches and the kicks, but there's you've seen shoes and stuff come off. If you've watched enough MMA events, you mean there's guys that have lost shoes. Sometimes guys get accidentally taken down when when a fight gets stopped and stuff like that. So, but anyway, moving on. Hamza Mayev, the hype train that was born in Yaz Island, technically. I know I just went out of the thing of you know, excuse me, watching fighters from regional events, and so the light shined on him in 2020, because he stepped in on short notice, because he was already there to schedule to fight someone else in 2020, and then he went, and the interesting statistic is that he's only been hit once. He's only been hit once since he's been in the UFC, and Dana White was like, in the post-fight press conference, he's like, "How about that?" He's like, "The guy's had more fights than he's been hit in the UFC." So, not for nothing, I had Li Jing Lang picked to. I thought he could upset him. I thought he could upset him. He was away for a while because he caught COVID, and they brought him to Vegas to help him get over. And I'm like, okay, like maybe it's not the same Hamza Chimaev, but I mean, it didn't take long for him to show that it was. I mean, the way he took down Lee, I don't want to keep butchering his last name, but he literally, like, it was so automated. It picked him up, carried him to the side of the cage where Dana White was sitting, and was talking to Dana White while he was trying to finish this man, and eventually got his submission finished. So, the guy fights at 170. Now the chat is, which I have written here, is Kamaru Usman is making the rounds at 170. I mean, he's fighting Colby Covington again. He finished Masvidal. I mean, it's like he's fighting people that he's fought already, you know. And how many times do you want him to pass them by before you do something fresh that's going to draw fans, make pay-per-view buys and all that stuff? I mean, it might be this guy. It might be Chimaev. I mean, especially now with right now, Kamaru Usman is so dominant. If he gets rid of Colby Covington, which I already think he is, I mean, I'll close with my picks for UFC 268 off the top of my head. But I mean, one of them is that I don't see Usman not losing his belt next weekend. I don't think he's losing his belt next weekend. But I mean, this guy has been such a force at 170 and 185. Don't forget he beat 185 or 2 before he got sick. This is definitely someone we need to pay attention to, and I guess we're all glad he's back. And speaking of being glad he's back, Peter Yan, supposed to be Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling. Everyone knows Sterling didn't get cleared because of the stuff of what's going on with his neck. He didn't get cleared to fight, so Corey Sandhagen steps in, and this fight got fight of the night reward, because um it was really, actually, when the fight first started, I thought Sandhagen was gonna, like, win by decision, because he had won the first 2 rounds, at least, the way most people, I think, had him winning the first 2, maybe the first 3 rounds. Ankalev, yeah, I'm just making sure I got my names right. But for Sandhagen, so it's 49-46 unanimous decision for Peter Yan. But those first 2 rounds, Corey Sandhagen had an obvious height and reach advantage over Peter Yan, and Peter Yan just stood there. I mean, he was just like the first 2-3 rounds, he just stood there and took it and fired right back and just kept walking at him. Eventually, I don't know if it was fatigue or just what have you, but he wore this guy out, rightfully so. I mean, and then there was he knocked him down, I believe, in round 3. And then there was a trade at the way they closed out the final round. Peter Yan did like spinning back kick and caught Sandhagen in the chin, and Sandhagen kept trying to win some points by doing this jumping knee, but it wasn't really landing. And Peter Yan just never like let up, even in the grappling exchanges. And Sandhagen went for the takedown first, but even in the grappling exchanges, Yan, he sprawled out, stuffed his head, and was just working his way around him. Even there was even a point where Peter Yan fell back to do a heel hook. I think it was round 4. He fell back to do a heel hook that I thought was going to finish, and rather than finish the submission, which leg locks they don't have the success they do in like grappling competition, because you literally not just pound someone off of you. But he went back, and Sandhagen looked like he was thinking about which way I'm going to switch my hits. And as soon as he did that, Yan just let go and got up and started hitting him again, and they were scrambling, which was really smart of him, because he could have compromised himself. The thing about leg locks is like you're on the bottom and not covering your face and reaching down for something versus staying active. So smart, really smart ring generalship by Peter Yan. And now he's the interim champion, and it's absolutely going to be Sterling and Yan. Dana White said in the post-fight press conference, and that needs to get done. I mean, they need to squash that and put that to bed already. So Islam Makhachev also beat Dan Hooker. Now, Dan Hooker, I think we got to put a little asterisk next to this, because Dan Hooker was a short notice opponent. It was supposed to be Rafael Dos Anjos. It was still a dominant victory, but and Dan Hooker's no joke either. He was just come off of a win of Hasprat not so long ago. But you got to think about extending, fighting. It was a decision. So he fought all the rounds and then had to travel, do another weight cut. So that, wears on a guy. So I think we got to let Dan Hooker slide. Thank God he didn't get injured and stuff like that, so. But because Rafael Dos Anjos was withdrawn due to injury. So now we have this Islam Makhachev, who beat Dan Hooker's ranked number 6, and the ranking is going to change on Tuesday. So now we have Islam Makhachev, who's up there in lightweights. And next week we have Michael Chandler. When you look at the lightweight division, that was Khabib's division. This is Khabib's boy. You have Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje. They're going to do their thing. And Daniel Cormier, and I put it in here, he says, he put this on Twitter literally after it happened. Give Makhachev the title fight. I don't even need to see who wins next week. This dude just killed it. Khabib said this was his MSG moment, and boy, did he not deliver. He's going to be the champ. And Justin Gaethje had some things to say about that. I didn't put that on here, but, you can click on this and see the thread. If you go to the website, MMAnews.com. Justin Gaethje wasn't happy about that, though. And I kind of agree with him. Like, come on, dude. I know. I mean, you got to remember, Khabib is Cormier's friend, like the longtime training partner. So there's this 6 degrees of separation, or whatever you want to call it, there. So I mean, it's just, I mean, Cormier was nice about it. He's like, listen, you're one of my favorite fighters, so I'm not trying to. I didn't mean anything bad by it, but anyway, after all that, Glover Teixeira, 42 years old, is UFC light heavyweight champion. Man, it's what I wanted to happen for him. As a longtime fan of the sport, watching him fight has been fun. If he lost and lost badly, I think we all would have kind of like, felt bad for him, or, felt like maybe he should hang it up. And maybe he should still hang it up, even though he won. But he won. There's that saying about, going out on your shield or carry down shoulders and stuff like that in combat sports. And I know I've talked about it on here more than enough times. But, it's rare that a guy, gets carried out on the shoulders of the people supporting him versus out on his shield when they lose and lose badly. So and I have a quote here that Dana White said in the post fight press conference. Glover Teixeira is and has been one of the toughest guys in the division, and he proved it. Once again, fighting Jan Blachowicz, taking the title from him. And don't forget, I mean, he beat Israel Adesanya when he tried moving to light heavyweight. So he's got the title now. They're talking about Jiri Prochazka next. I don't know if Glover wins that or if he wants to defend, but I think maybe whatever he does, even if he doesn't defend it, it's all good. 42 years old, you know, the fight game, combat sports is a young man's game. So, but he does. It's such a positive story, and ESPN put this quote up: "Never give up on your dreams, no matter what people say. Don't listen to them. That's why I don't listen to you haters when you hate on this. Um, they're gonna put you down. Don't listen to those negative people. Believe in yourself and keep going forward. And if martial arts has taught anyone anything, it's that being consistent will always give the person with the consistency rewards. So that's probably why I like this sport so much. Anyway, I think there's more to take away from it. If you think I forgot anything, by all means, drop it in the comments below. Let me know what you took away from the event. You can check this out, this piece out over at MMAnews.com, and the results and the highlights are up there as well. And as far as UFC 268 goes, I know I'm going a little over on time, but I'm going to give you my quick picks. I know we do write a piece up, but I'm going to give you my quick picks off the top of my head. Main card: Usman, Rose, Gaethje. Sorry, I like Michael Chandler, but Justin Gaethje's a bad mofo. And I'll those details will be in our predictions piece that comes out this week over at MMAnews.com. Thank you so much for watching this. Have a happy Halloween. Don't take any ice, wooden nickels, or razor blades in your candy or whatever the hell it is. Make sure you click the bell, thumbs up, like the YouTube channel at MMAnews.com, and follow me on Twitter at Carbazel. Again, I normally stream this on the Sundays, but I'm gonna be out having fun on Halloween. So you make sure you have happy Halloween, everybody. Have a good weekend or enjoy the rest of the week.